So Ben Davis, Moondog Animation. We were just looking at one of your earlier films. It was called Willie Grunch.
Yeah, The Life and Trials of Willie Grunch.
Okay. And you said that that was your Kickstarter project for Moondog Animation.
Yeah, our very first project, we had already started our company up, knowing that we wanted to be a light in a dark place. So it was a faith-inspired project, not faith-forward, so that we could bring something to the world that showed that we knew how to animate and became a resource for the church.
I think that's interesting what you just said, faith-inspired versus faith-forward. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. Well, we grew up in France, so for the context, there was less than 1% believers over there, was a statistic I remember. So it was sort of the kiss of death to claim faith. In the entertainment world too, you could not say that I'm going to do a faith-based project. But you can bring values. Everyone agrees on love, joy, peace, kindness, faithfulness, all the fruit of the Spirit. And even I think the verse goes, against such things there is no law. So everyone agrees on those. And we decided, let's make content that brings those values forward, because we know where they come from. And that will be our way to do something. We wanted to be a studio that was recognized and watched, not just yet another effort that goes unnoticed.
Interesting. I think that might resonate with some of us in here, the faith-based versus faith-inspired, and the trials that come along with being in industry and professing faith in some of these more creative industries.
Right.
Okay, so you brought up France. So you were born in France.
Yes, yeah. My parents are missionaries in France, so they moved there about 2 years before I was born. I spent 30 years there total, and 16 here so far.
Okay.
So
is your...
I am French. I don't speak with the accent. I'm sorry.
But I appreciate you doing that.
Disappointing, I know.
So I've been here in the Low Country pretty much all my life. Do you consider yourself French? You do consider yourself French? I
consider myself 100% both.
Okay.
I'm proud to be American, and je suis très fier d'être français aussi. I'm very proud to be French as well.
Awesome. So you grew up in France. Your parents were missionaries. Did faith come naturally to you, even in this environment of people not really talking about their faith in France?
No, on the contrary.
Okay.
I was pretty much ashamed of what my parents did. So whenever at school you had to fill out the information sheet and say what job does your dad do, your mom do, my dad was he sometimes was the executive director of TEAM team, which is the Evangelical Alliance Mission, just because he was the chairman of that year. So I would invent roles for him to make it sound important, sound like he was a leader, not just a pastor. Oh my goodness. It wasn't cool. I think that was the best way to sum it up. And creatively too, it felt like a dead end. I convinced myself that of two things: that there's no way I could be a creative and live in God's presence, and there's no way I could find love in France and live in God's presence. And it was pretty well, I could prove the point really well. I mean, there was no one that I knew around me that did anything close to creative. And anything that it was craft, and in the pejorative way, and love. I mean, we're in mega churches of less than 100 people over in France. The seacoast of France is about 100 people.
Wow.
And it's better now, actually. The statistic now is not less than 1%. I've heard even up to 3% believers in France. So there is a lot of the hard work of people like my parents is paying off. So praise God for that.
Are they still there?
They're still there, yeah. And but when you go to a mega church of 100 people, there's usually one girl your age, and no, just so anyhow. Sorry for whoever I was with then, but I decided that I couldn't. I had to make a choice. And it wasn't as clear as that. It was just, over time, I realized that I guess, God, you don't have a place for me. And so I became creative. I continue to be creative outside of God's presence.
What age are we talking about?
This is 14, 15, 16, around
Okay.
there.
Those are tough years.
Yeah, you're trying to figure everything out.
Yeah, those are some tough years. Okay, so, well, then I must ask, how did you come to faith?
Well, that's the fun part, is that God actually proved the contrary on both points.
Okay.
So I'd already, there is a little chapter where we were in the States for 4 years. So my whole 16 years in the States are all over the place. But for 4 years, I was here. We were in the States because my mom had a bone cancer, and they were asking us, where's the last 6 months? Where do you want to spend the last 6 months? She's still with us, so I'll give you the good end.
Wow, that was 16 years ago.
That was
No, that was,
when I was 14.
oh gosh,
So,
that was a long
how
time
old am
ago.
I? 46.
You don't have to tell us that.
We're creatives, we don't do that. But no, when I was 15, we ripped up our life, family life, went over there. That proved to me that God didn't really love us either. In a kind of weird way. And I found people that accepted me in a non-Christian way. We were very creative. We did all the dumb stuff, drugs and friends and parties and all that. And I've crossed a couple lines in my mind that God couldn't forgive. Like I dated, and I decided not to preserve my purity. So that was a big no-no. And I even had to give back to my parents the purity ring that they had given me. So it was very ceremonially bad. And I'd crossed the line just of, I just basically I was beyond God's grace. And in I'll try to keep it short, but in two events, he drew me close in Annecy, France, when I'm in art school. I was going to a church just to keep my parents off my back, because when I went to church, those pastors would tell my parents, other pastors,
Wow.
hey, we saw Ben, so good to see him. And my mom would say, oh, you're going to church again, great. So I checked that box, and unfortunately, or praise God, Jean-Marc Cayette, was a dear friend now, was the drummer of that little mega church's band, and I play guitar. So he invited me to come join the band, and I was just accepted. And so Jean-Marc, then, as we get to know each other, he admits to me, after I admit to him that I'm an art student, that he hires artists and that he's a studio director in an animation studio. So, oh wow, fear and trembling.
You walked right into that.
I walked right into it, and he just welcomed me under his wing, and he allowed me to help him to intern basically on a short film that explained the gospel in stop motion animation. So I worked on that as a non-believer.
Did you realize that he was giving that to you so that to preach yourself the gospel?
Of course not. Of course not. No, I was oblivious to this. In hindsight, yes, 2020, God orchestrated these steps and all. I was dating Laetitia already by that time, and I even dedicated it to my girlfriend. We weren't even engaged at the time, so there's a little dedication on it to Laetitia and Christelle. That's Jean-Marc's wife. And eventually that got me clicked into this kind of values. I can do art. Yeah, why not, for God's glory? But it wasn't the reason. And then Laetitia, I asked her to be my fiance, and we get to my parents' place to show them the ring. My parents had been praying against Laetitia staying, by the way. They admitted this to us after the fact. But yeah, well, they saw it was and she was a nice girl too, so they warmed up to you. But when we came back with that ring, my dad had already warned me, I will not be able to sleep at night if I know one of my daughters doesn't know who God is for her, and if you marry her, she'll be my daughter. So so he switched into gear within 15 minutes of us being there. That's my dad. He turned around to her saying, I have something I want to explain to you. You know that cartoon that Ben worked on? So he uses the cartoon I worked on to demonstrate who Jesus is. And within 15 minutes, in this really awkward for me conversation, Laetitia is in tears, asking, well, how do I meet him? How do I understand this more? There's more to the story, more to her, and I'll let her tell her part of it. But that day changed. Sorry? No, I'm still building chapters now. But no, that will be a big part of it, because that's the moment that God confronted me with. I'm here. I don't need you to meet me. I'm meeting you. And here's love. Here's creativity. Are you in? And Laetitia, even on that very day, I remember some of the conversations. She told me, this changes everything. Maybe we should wait until we get married now to live together. And I'm thinking, we knew each other in the biblical being together, know each other way. And we didn't know each other then for a year and 3 months. We stayed apart of each other so that we could get to know each other again. And we got married as fresh, new people under God's love.
That's amazing.
So, a little long-winded.
That's an amazing story.
Yes.
Truly. I mean, that is, I'm picturing from Willie Grunch, I'm picturing the hand of God, just like getting in your way, moving.
Well, I spent a lot of time creating that hand, I remember, and it's not lost on me how much that's part of my story too. God just lovingly putting his hand in my way, but allowing us to jump over his hand. He doesn't stop us.
Wow. I like how he'll get rid of things sometimes, and it is for our good. He's such a loving father. Okay, well, that is the coolest, truly, story I could have heard. So thank you for that. So you're interning with, tell me his name. Jean-Marc, JM. And who is also in MOONDOG, correct?
So he's later in the story, he's my co-founding partner in MOONDOG.
Okay.
And he's also here in Mount Pleasant. He goes to Seacoast.
Wonderful.
He and his wife serve here in the grading team. So yes, we're all here.
Okay. So
where did you get the name MOONDOG?
Where did we get the name MOONDOG? We had about 150 names. Most of the ones we liked were taken, like .coms and all that were not available. And then we realized MOONDOG first it sounded fun. And we realized that it was an atmospherical effect. When you look at the moon with certain humidity conditions, it'll create a halo around it and these two little kind of dog ears on the side. And it's not a dog, but it's called a moondog. And there's also a sundog, actually, by the way. You'll see that more often here in the low country.
I see the sundog more.
You see a sundog, larger halo, these kind of rainbow halos on the side of it. And that's called a sundog effect. And after hindsight's 2020. So it sounds like we did this on purpose, but then we realized that, oh, wow. When you think of it, we're creative. We want to show our message to the world. We want to tell stories, series, and feature films. Well, we are actually, though, a reflection of God's creativity. And what is the moon? The moon reflects the sun. And so we MOONDOG Animation Studio try to reflect God's love and glory and grace and everything about God to the world. So
that's incredible.
That's what MOONDOG became after where it came from.
Well, we all evolve, don't we? Even our creative practices in our businesses, we all evolve, and we can't stay in the same place, especially if God has touched what we're doing. All right, so it's this story of you, kind of trying to run from faith and God, and God like pulling you into the thing that He's created you for, and the person that He's created you to be with, and that all sounds very sort of the wind at your back, but we know it's not always easy, especially after we get our beginning in something. So after you began in animation, was it easy? Was your career easy, laid out, or what was that like?
It could get a long story, but I'll try to stay
Okay.
in quick bullet points. But no, at first it was easy to just grow into my newfound or refound faith when I was an early Christian. Then it became clear that it was about more than just being a good believer and then doing great animation. And I just realized that couldn't be dissociated. What we do is who we are, and there is one God over all of us. So all that then lead us to want to be more missional about it. And my first misstep was a funny one. I decided that, well, God, I'm really going to serve you. So we talked about it with Laetitia, and we realized that we had an opportunity. We could go to seminary. We could go to Bible college. And because to serve God, we can't stay in animation or art, right? We have to become a pastor or a missionary. That's what my dad did. So I decided I was going to become a missionary and pastor. And then when you think of the context too, we're in France. We have about 3,000 churches over there in the I think we're about 60 million. I forget the stats, but we're in 67 million people. There's about 3,000 churches, 1,000 of those pastors back up, it was 15 years ago, the statistic, 1,000 pastors were going to retire in the next 10 years, and there was no one to replace them. So there's this attrition in just the effort to keep church going. So we realized that, well, we can help. So I decided to hang up that everything I'd been doing up to that point to go to seminary, and God blessed that in a very fun way. I quit. In our industry too, we lose our jobs all the time because animation studios usually run out of money. The producers often lie about things, and I had been already fired from 2 jobs by then for economic reasons. And in France, that allowed me 2 things. I could get what do you call it? Unemployment. Thank you. Le chômage in French, unemployment. So you basically don't need to work for 2 years. And I forgot where I was going to my point.
You're creative. It's okay. We forgive you.
Thank you.
So the Lord, when you were applying for seminary or whatever, He blessed you in 2 ways.
Yes, thank you. The fact that we would be fully paid, and I would have the best freelance year I'd ever had in my life. I was telling people jobs I didn't want. I was at the time just telling them, well, I cost 400, 500, 600 a day, just jacking up rates, and they'd say yes. Okay, well, I guess I'm doing this job. And we saved up everything we needed for a full year of the seminary, no debt. And we were married already and had 1 child. So think of that, just the cost of life for a full year, and tuition and lodging and everything, no debt. So God blessed it, and it felt like, wow, God, yes, we're on track.
Right.
I'm going to be a missionary.
Right.
So we had a fantastic year. And good and bad memories, but a great year. Met some of our best friends that we still hold today. And at the end, we get our degree. Think of it like a special ops training. 14 months on site. You live there, you breathe there, and you get 3 years of seminary crunched in as fast as you can, so that you can go then intern in a church the next year. Okay. No churches opened up. They needed someone that was single, and we were married. They needed someone that was tied to the Arabic community. Well, I'm American and non-compatible. They needed, and go down the list. Just nothing was clicking, and God opened up a door, saying to an animation studio job better than I ever had before. It's almost like God allowed a quitting and an elevation. That was not possible normally in the industry. You have to climb the ladder one ring at a time usually. And here I'm jumping up I get to direct a whole department. And it's in Annecy, France, the capital of animation. And it just confirmed God saying, basically God gently put His hand on my shoulder saying, Ben, stop trying so hard. I want to use you in what I created you for.
Mm.
And I got it finally at that point. And that's where you finally we're starting to think of, well, how do we put this to good use? And soon after, a few years after, we got fired from another job that lost all their money, the studio's money. And we decided, well, let's create our own studio. And how do we become a light in a dark place? How do we speak parables to those that have never heard the gospel? Just all those type of themes came to life, and we started Moondog Animation Studio.
That's incredible.
That's now 15 years ago.
Okay, I want to talk about Moondog. I want to go back to something that you just said. Basically, when you told the Lord, I want to serve you, and I believe I need to set this creative practice basically kind of down to go in this direction more directly to you. He honored that here's the gift you've given him, and you'll set it aside and focus on him. He honors that. When he brought you back, he was like, no, I never asked you to stop using this. I just wanted to see if you're willing to lay it down.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
And I think that I've seen that in my own life. I think that is when elevation comes. You're at a point, you're at a stagnant place for some plateau forever, and you're banging your head against it. And then all of it, did something happen?
A leaf
Oh.
Big leaf.
No, and then you set it down, and then it comes back to you. When the Lord brings, if you set it down, not like, oh, I don't want to do this. If you set it down at his feet and say, Lord, if this is your will, I set it down. He honors it, and he brings it back to you, and in greater force. I've seen it in my own life. It's so cool. So Moondog Animation, I think I heard somewhere that you guys, you were in like the animation capital, yes, right, of France. Yeah, so there's like a festival there.
Yeah, NC France is it's tucked in the Alps. It's beautiful, by the way. If you have a chance to go there, do. And it's they have a yearly international animation film festival. It's one of the feeders to the Oscars. It's the biggest deal for us every year. If we try to make it there, because everyone's there.
So you go back for the festival every year and
every
present
year
yourself.
That we can. Yes, it's an expensive trip, but
right. That's really, really cool. But Moondog is here. So yes. How is Moondog here? Why is Moondog in Charleston?
Well, Moondog's in Charleston. And I was just talking to Len, right? Len back there about how I usually ask this question: how many French movies have you watched in the theaters in the last 10 years here in the States? Anyone can answer this question, by the way. And it's not a trick question. It's just a reality. That's not how the box office system works. There is no market for French movies over here because it's not created. However, every single American movie, think of what's out right now, Avatar and all that, are in French movie theaters and German and Spain and around the world. So we realized that we're trapped in a smaller market than The Calling. And then we realized also that I have a U.S. passport, so why not come to the States? So it was really on purpose that we chose the States, and then also on purpose that we chose the Charleston area. Not specifically Mount Pleasant yet, because we didn't know the area, but it was a small town with a lot of potential. It had the same type of vibe as Annecy and quality of life. Just looking at it from the family perspective, from the opportunity perspective, and it's close enough to France to be only 6-hour time difference. It does not make sense to us to be in LA and make that a 9-hour time difference. And being a small fish in a small pond was good for us. So rather than New York or Atlanta or down in Florida, we went down the East Coast for 3 weeks and visited about 13 places. Charleston won. And Charleston won also a fun nod to the Sundogs. When we're visiting Charleston, we're driving down, I think it was 17. We didn't know the names of the roads or anything back then. We see Ravenel Bridge in the distance, and all of a sudden I see this thing I'd never seen before, these little halos with this. And then I realize what this is. Like, guys, I think this is the same thing as that moon thing. this has got to be a sundial. We stop the car, we look at it, we're like, man, we got to live here.
Ah, I love this.
So, and I believe God does give us these
Oh, he does.
little glimpses, and it's not for nothing that there was a sundial that day. So here we are.
I just want to sit and savor these stories that you're telling because they're so good.
Oh, praise God.
But yeah, I can do that. Like, yeah, he's so incredible. Okay. Tell me so your Moondog is here. You're raising your family here
Right.
in Charleston. So not in France. Your children have been growing up here mostly. Yeah.
Yeah, they were 8, 5, and 1 when we moved over.
So
the 3 oldest.
Anytime that you make a change for your family, it's a big change. It's a whole family endeavor. So it's not just your business, it's her business, it's everybody's. Has the Lord continued to honor all of you in this endeavor here? Or do you still get to that place sometimes where it's like, oh, I think, maybe this isn't enough, maybe we need to go or something? Do you ever face that?
We face every day the need of God preceding us. So I think yes, it's a good story, and yes, I can see God's blessing and answer to where we are, like being able to celebrate our oldest son, Luis, 20. He's on fire for God. He's evangelizing in our own neighborhood, walking around. Wayne and Eli know him. He's capable of knocking on people's doors randomly just to say, hey, do you know about Jesus? Where does this come from? So I see that blessing, and I also see that each of my sons need to encounter him, and I feel really blessed that we found small group communities and the church that we get to go to here in Seacoast. Just the fact that it allows us to keep seeing God in our everyday, because no, it's not easy. And yet I do see God's blessing in where we are today.
Are you still drawing?
Not much, actually.
So tell me about, you started out as an animator, and now you're running an animation studio and directing and producing and trailblazing. So are you still that creative desire, is it still being met in the capacity that you're working in now?
So I feel creatively fulfilled.
Okay.
And not because I'm still drawing as much. I doodle here and there sometimes, but it's even worse than just being an animator to not animating. I'm an illustrator, so I really did draw back when, and the creative outlet of doing what we do, being able to make series, feature films. It's not that I've given up. It's that I'm very comfortable. I'm at peace with not needing to be the one that has drawn the latest cell or the latest character. Because, by the way, Esteban and Salem and Justin and Jessica and Diana and all that, all of them are more better than me in different facets. I could probably defend myself in a lot of ways, and we can do art battles, yes, but that's not the point. And there's no way that we can do a feature film by myself. There's no way that we can do anything by myself. So I'm really enjoying the we, and I'm fascinated by the privilege and responsibility, though, that I get to have now as leading this company. I'm very much a reluctant leader. I don't like.
I think that makes the best kind.
I've heard that, yes, and I'm trying not to say it, make it sound like a brag that I'm a reluctant leader. I really did not want to be the CEO of anything. I like the creative craft that we do, but God put it in front of me that I had to step up to this responsibility, and it's been very rewarding. And it created a new trust between Jean-Marc and me, also, where I used to compete to be better. There's some things that he's way better than me, and some things that I can shine. And now we're not competing; we're partners, because now he gets to be himself entirely. And I actually love people more than I love drawing. So
That's a God thing.
I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
really okay around a team where everyone's ecstatic about the creative that we're doing and the projects that we get to go to. I love going to conferences and having one-on-one conversations. This is the maximum of a public presentation that I'm already not
Really?
I'm already not comfortable. But I really love people and love God and love people, and it drives everything that I do. And that kind of so I'm creatively fulfilled.
At one point, so I really like cats. If you see the little chocolate cookie cats, I'm a cat person, and there was a time in my life where I really didn't like people at all. I just liked cats. That was it. The Lord had to do a mighty work on my heart for me to love people, and He did that through teaching, and He did that through He's continuing to do that. But that love for people is shocking, isn't it? It's shocking when you naturally didn't feel that way to begin with. And the fact that that is what is driving you, I totally get, because the collaboration and like lifting up other creatives, there's something so rewarding in that, like, just giving a hand up and a win behind them. That's what I feel like we do in this room, in this place.
Right. You're in instigating the Manifold group. You've created a lot of space for a lot of people to find their calling.
And there's true joy in that.
Right.
And I still want to have an art off with you. I'm just kidding. Well, why don't tell me what you're working on right now as a studio. Tell me what you're looking forward to this year, 2026.
Sure. 2026, I hope, is a blessed year. It feels exciting already. The last couple years, we've shifted towards a lot more intent. And just a little preface, we lost our way a little bit. For 10 years, we were working so hard at doing a lot of work for hire and secular projects that we got to Peacock and we got to YouTube and Netflix and all that, and realized that we're totally off mission. So we're asking God, why is it so hard? And God, again, gently answers, because you're not doing what I asked you to. Oh, okay. And so now we have projects over the last couple of years. We've been really working hard at the Parable series that's in development, and that's bringing to life the stories that Jesus told, but in a way that we would understand today. This exercise has been done by others before, but I think Zootopia meets, I don't know what actually meets the parables, really, meets Jesus' stories. Okay. And with fluffy animals, all the stories are easy to tell. We've got another, that's one. Another one's really exciting called Pom Pom and Franny. You may know them, actually. You may know Nina Jackson, used to be around here in the area. They're two, anyhow, Nina and Christy, two ladies, came to us with their two little sapling trees, Ruru and Nana, who learned generational value lessons through their grandmother trees. Pom Pom and Franny are the saplings, and Ruru and Nana are the grandmas. Sorry, confusing everyone here.
Trees.
And these trees learn generational values through this really fun, colorful cartoon for 5 to 8 year olds. We're making the pilot episode right now, and we should be ready to show it to Angel Studios and a lot of other distributors on the 17th of February at the National Religious Broadcasters Conference in Nashville.
When is that?
That's a mouthful.
I'm waiting for another leaf to drop off this thing.
Suspense. It's February 17th.
Okay, that's coming up.
So we're pitching. We've been actively pitching that show, and it's a heavy lift to raise money from people that. But it's basically we're trying to convince people that it's not about the money, but we should make a return on investment. But it's about the return on impact. It's not. It's not, what we do is much more important than the revenue. And yet we need revenue to do what we do. So we're constantly in this dilemma of faith, but finance.
Welcome.
Yeah, so yes, good company, I know. And two more, sorry. Two very exciting projects for us, feature films now. I went from small to the biggest. High Five is a epic feature film that's going to be undistinguishable from the best. Think Pixar, DreamWorks. Think actually Zootopia meets Spider-Verse meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Put all that together. It's the story of a teenage fox who grew up without his dad, and he remembers him from when he was 5. And Titus is super creative. When he plays music, things come to life around him. And so there's a little nod to us too, where our creative expression. He gets tricked by his school principal, who realizes he has this power to open up this portal to the emotion world, because that's how he's gonna steal everyone's creativity. And Titus lands in this other world, trapped, and falls face to face with his dad. And this is the first time he's seen him for 10 years. When he sees dad says, "Oh my goodness, Titus, there you are, come here." And Titus says, "Oh, Dad, where were you all my life?" And it starts this long odyssey, in a sense, challenge and trial. And they're in this emotion world, where everything's built of pure emotion and music, and it's dangerous.
Color.
Think Ant-Man and in the quantum space, or there's a lot of movie references here.
I'm getting all of it.
You're in, yes, I see it. It's awesome. And so they go through all this, these trials to go through anger and reconciliation and forgiveness. At a moment, they're almost through this challenge, and the dad says, "Wow, we almost made it, Titus." A fist bump, and Titus says, "No, Dad, high five." And he's remembering back. That's the title of the movie, by the way. High five. They high five. It opens up a portal. They shoot right back just in time to meet bad guy. And will they save the day? Will they save everyone that they love? It's probably better together, right? And it's a story where we're trying to bring Dad back in the picture. We're not trying to solve it perfectly by saying, well, and when you forgive, everything's perfect and you get back, your family comes back together. But it does lead a path towards anything that God could mend, and so our movie is a values forward movie that allows to ask the questions, kind of like the short clip, actually, the Willie Grunch clip. Mm-hmm. That one didn't bring real answers. Like, Willie does not find his way, but it leaves you with the question. And this movie will leave you with questions, but point you towards answers.
How can we pray for you in your studio this year?
Right now, I'll give you a head start. Yes. We right now are coming up to some of the biggest conferences and introductions that we've ever had. Just this week, as a praise to preface the prayer, you know who Wonder Project is? Have you seen House of David?
Yes. Yeah.
They're Wonder Project. And Wonder Project is, next to Angel Studio, one of the biggest names in Christian distribution now. And actually, I'd argue probably one of the most, they're the straight and narrow ones compared to even Angel. That's a much deeper topic. We can talk about Angel after this. But through God's perfect alignment of timing and things, I somehow got to speak with another connection who brought me to the CEO of Wonder Project. So I had that meeting 2 weeks ago, who then said, "Wow, I didn't know about you guys. This is amazing. You need to have a meeting with our Chief Operating Officer and our Director of Acquisitions," which is usually the hardest meetings to get, because you always have to go up the chain of command and everyone's protecting whoever's above them. And no, this came down as more of just a blessing of, "Wow, what do you guys do? Show us what you have and how can we help you?" That was the tone of the conversation. We had that meeting this week, and now the follow-ups. So that's the prayer request, is we've got to capitalize on the blessing and not just praise God for it, but there's a lot of work ahead of us.
Right.
Showing up to the conference I mentioned in February, having decks ready, attaching the right people to these projects. Because
is the money coming in okay? Yeah.
No, there's another prayer request. Money's always hard.
I was just wondering.
Fundraising for this is trickier than even in the secular world because two sides on there. It's already money is hard to come by when you're doing animation, but in the faith-based world, we've noticed that we're so good at saying that we need to be good stewards that we don't trust anyone with our money, and we're trying to convince people to be as trusting as the Gentiles with our projects, because you should invest in what we're doing, because this is what's going to bring light to the world. So pray for those connections too. Yes, please, that we would find that God would supply provision for the mission that's ahead. Well, when I remember to come to God, that usually works out better. I've also tested paths by being stubborn and going. We really thought it was our calling to do museum business, for example. So we discerned in our own way without God that we can't find the revenue we need in animation. So we're good at doing 3D animation. We could work for Patriots Point, and eventually we even got into Kennedy Space Center and St. Louis Aquarium. We did big projects, and we were telling God how, look, we did it. And then COVID happened, and it took away all of our museum business. We had no business in that business, and we ran for a few years without discernment on that one. So what really helps me, this is a plug for the men's ministry here at Seacoast, but watch out, the Seacoast hike, going on a hike. Right, there's a few of us here already. Those of us guys here that haven't been on the hike, come join us. You'll see, you're gonna see another level of faith and walk with God. I know I can look at some and just say, we've been on the mountain together. Well, Corey and I have been on it together. I haven't seen you on it yet, Wayne. I'm not going to pick on you yet because I don't know you yet, but John, have you been part of the hike? Okay, and I haven't hiked with you, but yeah, no, you know the drill. But
He brings the stick to beat people.
I digress a little bit, but the point is it's by being accountable with other guys that are not necessarily doing the same thing at all. I love how Corey has been a really encouragement to me, and he works in everything you can imagine, house reparation and construction and all that, and I make cartoons. So two different worlds. We do enjoy waves together. We surf together. So, and that type of person allows me to keeps me on my toes, because he's going to ask me, "How are you doing, Ben?" So just how do I see God in front of me? Well, it's by being with others that keep me with God. And then I have a pretty just fun, natural rhythm now with God. My wife encourages me a lot too, in that where we'll wake up and we'll find ourselves at the kitchen table, and she's got her Bible open and highlighters and all that. I've stolen now a few highlighters since she's influenced me. My Bible looks prettier now. And that I meet with God every morning. And the hike, the reason why I keep pointing at the hike is it's given me so many tools to how to just spend time with God. I hated the word journaling before, and I don't journal still, but I do have a booklet that you could call a journal. And in that booklet, every day I write a letter to God. And it starts off, "Good morning, Abba." I call him Abba because it's kind of like saying Papa or Daddy, or it's an endearing way of saying daddy. So I say, "Good morning, Abba. Thank you, God, for today. Thank you, God, for every day." That's usually the same block. And then I go into thank you for this. Thank you for my son. Please be with my wife as she goes through her day. It doesn't need to be orchestrated, directed, but that's how I now meet God every day. And I praise God with my guitar, and I think it's something that you were saying before we were meeting here, as you're coaching me on what we're going to do here. It's about the whole. Like it's not that we have these separate lives, our professional life, our family life. It's how do I see God's will in my life? It's because He's with me right now. I mean, I was whispering to God, thank you for this privilege of being here. Please give me the courage to speak loud that people can hear me, because I don't like being in front of people. And I'm doing this with God. So that's how I'm finding my discernment, is just this fun walk with God. And even when I fall, when I stumble, when I doubt, when I cut a corner, I'm able now to remember more and more quicker that God's still right here. God's still next to me. He's not waiting now that I spent 3 months of penitence so that I can be worthy again of His presence. No, because He died on the cross before I ever came to any light bulb moment. He died before I had that moment at my parents' place. And He was cool. He was cool to dying for me, knowing that I would do all the screw ups even after. Experience for sure, wisdom not sure yet, but yes, I mean that's that fear, maybe you could say, of will you provide, God? Where are you leading me? It comes up all the time. The 4th of January was not fun, because Monday the 5th was going to be our back to work, and I didn't know how God was going to line up the year, and it's tempting to just give up and go to what's safe. In our world, what's safe is just go back to the secular productions and try to figure out how can we just make worth that we do good work. And probably very similar to you. You do good, you write well, I imagine, so you can make that worth something. And then when you write well with purpose, there's nothing there. Now we're seeing that too. Just to illustrate the unbalance, I'm gonna give a big figure that's not very big, actually, when you think of how many people spent this. But over the last 5 years of Moondog, we've spent close to $10 million in producing animation. And most of that comes in and right back out to other people for salaries and all that stuff, where it's an expensive business because a lot of people work on what we do. Of that, close to $10 million, there's about 50,000 of faith work. And that's, I say it today in concern, and I say that often to potential investors as hopefully convicting too, because we keep talking about the importance of our values being in the mainstream media, and how do we bring God's values to life? Well, we've got to get people that believe in us. And so I think one of our solutions, at least to keep going, is just to keep going.
You have to keep writing. You have to come to the place where the Lord is asking you to write, and you're writing what He's asking you to write. And then you have to let Him handle the business end of it, because the financials are for all of us are the challenge. And that's one of the main things when we first started this group. We got together. I think it was the first time we got together. I was like, okay, how many of you, like, what are the disappointments that you've had in your industry, in your craft? We had tears. There were all sorts of, like, because every single one of us brings along with us the disappointments, and it's those disappointments like that. You had the hand of God directing him, but very often we have opposition that is coming in and trying to stop us from something really good that the Lord is trying to do. And I would just say, just on a daily basis, before you write, pray, Lord, what would you have me write? Write with me, partner with Him in our creative endeavors. And then they're not our own. And then if they fall flat, we don't feel shame because of it. If it was something that the Lord is doing with us, then we've had that journey of partnering with an almighty God on a project. So there's no loss there. No, not both.
And it's in Exodus 30, 31, around there. Moses has gotten all the instructions on how the tabernacle and the ark and all that are going to be designed. And then he points at two people saying, and I have gifted these two people with
Wisdom
everything.
and knowledge and
Yeah,
all of this.
They're filled with the Spirit and in their, and the point that I love about it is these weren't just newbies in the business. They didn't just all of a sudden get the skill and wow, look at that, I can draw now.
Right.
They worked their secular job. They train. So what we're doing when we're writing, when we're drawing for the world, when we're frustrated, we're actually training. That's what brings so much value in these meetings now. When I'm going to these conferences, I'm showing our demo reel. You can check it out. It's playing on my computer back on the table over there. It shows a body of work that doesn't necessarily honor God, but it says, look, God's skilled them and prepared them. And the moment will come for all of us to do the thing that God designed us for. I believe for me, it's to tell big stories in series and animation. And I think I figured out what God's called me to. And who knows, he's probably gonna,
For this season.
he'll probably also give me other assignments. You never know where God's leading.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it, is that it's not loss of time. And I think that's the point I'm drawing from that example is let's keep getting good at what we do. Let's be the best. Because then when we do have our chance, we're gonna elevate what we do and not become those cheesy Christian movies that no one wants to go watch, or that script that was kind of not polished because you weren't really good at what you do. And on the contrary, be the best. That would be if there's any wisdom, just be the best at what you do for when God's ready to call you.